Yes, that's right. You read the title, and no, you are not dreaming. This video will get you out of bronze, and no, I am not joking. Well, at least if you're someone that can take this information and actually apply it properly, that is. And yes, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking right now. You're giving this info for free? Well, yes, but also no, I guess. The reality is, guys, that normally this information that I'm going to share with you guys in this video is information that I used to charge people for and have left a lot of my students satisfied. However, as time went on, I kind of came to the realization that ranks like Iron and Bronze don't really benefit from VOD reviews as much as they would benefit from like an in-depth guide just kind of explaining the understandings of the game, you know, angle peeking, just basic stuff, you know, mechanics and whatnot. I feel like Iron, Bronze, they would benefit way more from that versus actual VOD reviews. And for that reason, I decided that instead of just gatekeeping this information behind a paywall, I might as well release it for free. So here we are. If you are stuck in Bronze, you are going to want to watch this video because I promise you the stuff that I'm going to go over in this video, it's most likely going to help you get out of Bronze before you know it. Maybe even within a couple days after you watch this video. Maybe even within a couple of weeks. I mean, you know, the time at the end of the day that it takes is going to be up to you, how much you play, how much you actually apply the tips that I'm going to share with you guys in this video. Now, here's what I will say, right? I decided to release this video to the free at the end of the day because I genuinely want to see players grow, right? What I don't want to see is a player who spent countless hours playing this game, hard stuck, and just wasting their lives playing this game. At the end of the day, time is extremely valuable for every human being. So let's save you guys all some time. I'm extremely confident that this guide will get any player that is in Iron or Bronze out of that elo within a week. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Alright, anyways, movement and exposing yourself to too many angles. That is the first issue that I see Bronze players have. So let me sit up straight real quick so I can show you guys a good little example. So before, I've covered movement, right, in other videos, so I won't go too deep into movement right now. What I will go deeper into is exposing yourself to too many angles, because this is an issue that a lot of Bronze players and Iron players have that I've coached. So this is something I want to help you guys understand here. So what's the difference between standing here on offense versus standing here on offense? I'll let you guys take a minute to tell me. Okay, so the answer to that question is very simple. When you're here, you're only exposed to 1, 2, and possibly 3 angles, right? This one, I mean, very rare that someone's hiding there. I mean, I'm talking about when the game just starts, right? They can't be in that angle, right? If you're standing here, you're exposed to 3 angles, right? Where people can peek you from, right? Exposed to an angle just means somewhere where the opponent can peek you from. That is an angle that you are exposed to, right? So when you're standing here in the open, you are exposed to multiple angles, and that is something that we can all agree on, right? At least I hope so. And now if you're standing here, you're exposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6, 7, by the way. So you're exposed to around like 7 different angles if you're standing here, right? So now let's take a second to understand why this is fundamentally bad for you to be in this position, right? The reason is because if you're exposed to too many angles, then you're forced to take too many fights. If they peek you together, you're gonna have to flick and you have to get lucky, or you just have to be extremely skilled, which once again, 99% of players in Bronze, they will not be able to even get 1 kill if multiple people peek them at the same time. So that's why this concept that I'm about to teach you guys is very important if you want to escape Bronze elo. So once again, you're exposed to multiple angles here, right? And obviously it's bad because if someone peeks from here and you're looking here, you're dead, right? If someone peeks from here and you're looking here, you're dead, right? So these are very important things to keep in mind. So, and then likewise, when you're standing here, you're exposed to way too many angles, right? So then the question arises, well, what do we do about that, right? Because most Bronze players and Iron players, they will find themselves in situations like here, And here, and especially in mid rounds, you know, during the middle of the round especially, a lot of bronze and iron players will be exposed to multiple different angles, right? And they don't think about this. So my first tip to any bronze player out there is you need to change your fundamental thinking of Valorant, right? It's not just about running in there and aiming better than the opponent. It's not just about that. In fact, I'd say a good 90% of this game is just not exposing yourself to multiple angles, because I promise you the chances of you dying when you're exposed to multiple angles is far, far higher than, I don't know, just like you not doing that, I guess. So let's take a look at an example here, right? So how can you avoid this, right? This is where the actual teaching comes in. So first off, you need to understand, number one, what are the most common angles that opponents play in? Okay, that's the first step you need to understand. So this differs from elo to elo, so that's something to keep in mind. This differs from elo to elo. Maybe in your elo, a lot of players, just for example, like to play in this corner at the start of the round, okay? Just for an example, right? In that case, what you will do is when you're coming here to clear this angle, you will slice it one by one. You see, you go one angle at a time. So let's start from the very beginning, like how a higher elo player will clear these angles. So for example, first thing I would do when I'm here, right, is first off, I would peek with my team. So I want to make sure my team is peeking with me, but let's just say I'm solo, right? How I would personally clear these angles is I would just kind of jiggle peek them. Jiggle peek the off angles, jiggle peek that angle, jiggle peek this angle, jiggle peek, right? And then I've cleared it. So notice how I've cleared everything within about a second, right? It didn't really take that long. I just boom, 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 right? And boom, everything's cleared, right? Everything has been cleared by me doing all of that within 2 seconds. Now, why is what I did useful, right? Now, I'm not saying that you as a bronze player need to be able to master your movement to this degree, right? Now, personally for me, it's easy, right? But I know for a fact that if you're in bronze, you're just kind of starting the game, you know, you're not going to be able to jiggle peek to this accuracy and to be able to do this for every single angle, right? So what you need to focus on as a lower elo player is not necessarily jiggle peeking and getting your movement right, because it's not going to benefit you as much in lower elos anyways, but rather clearing your angles properly and not exposing yourself to multiple angles. So what I would recommend a bronze player should do is, at the very least, you want to go step by step, right? So if someone's here, you want to peek this first. Now notice, when I'm peeking this first, I'm isolating this angle, right? So what does that mean? So if I'm standing here, right, I'm standing here and I'm peeking into this angle here, the people over here can't see me, right? The person here is not able to see me, person here is not able to see me. And even if there's a person here, they can't see me. But the person here can. This is the only person. And that's why I'm isolating this fight first, because someone could be there, right? So if someone can be here, I'm isolating this fight first. Nice. Now that you've isolated this fight, in bronze, usually people don't know about this concept of off angles. And if you don't know what that means, that's completely okay. You don't need to know what that means right now. You'll learn that as you grow and as you rank up. So the point is, though, once you've cleared a common angle that someone could be playing in, then you want to focus on clearing the next common angle, which is here, right? So this is the first common angle in which they could be in. The next one is here, right? So notice how if I'm peeking like this, right, I'm not exposing myself to this angle anymore. So notice, right, how now I'm isolating this angle. Now some might say, well, when you isolate this angle, you're also exposed to this one. But once again, that's why we cleared this one first, to make sure nobody's there, and then we isolate the second one. You see what I'm saying? Now if someone were to come off of a timing which is late peek it, then that's a whole different story, right? But the job is that you as a player need to do this every time, and if someone comes off of a timing, then that's just unlucky and you're gonna have to adapt to that situation, right? But usually in lower elos, that's not gonna happen anyway, right? So you'll be fine. Main thing you want to focus on is clearing one by one, right? And so now that we've cleared this side and this side, the next angle we can clear is more deeper into this, right? More deeper into these areas, right? Because at the start of the round, no one can really be here, right? So now we've cleared this, nice. Now we've cleared this, and now we're clearing this, right? So I'm showing you guys this in slow motion, but once you start practicing this in a custom game and whatnot, it'll become very fast for you, right? So just notice how I just did all that within a second, right? Now I promise you, taking the extra milliseconds to actually take your time to clear these angles is how you're supposed to play the game. This is a fundamental of the game that a lot of bronze players and iron players, they just don't have the patience for it, right? Or they just don't know what to do. So instead of like a bronze player would do, just running out here in the open, right? Like just like kind of running out here and just letting your crosshair just kind of float around. Instead, you take some time, you just kind of patiently take some time, clear the angles properly, fundamentally playing the game, right? And so here is example number 1. Here. Now, example number 2 is even more important because I need you guys to properly understand why and what I'm about to tell you. So let's talk about this area of the map. Now, usually this area of the map is in every map. What is that? It's the entrance to the site. So let me show you guys the B site area of the map. So we go to the B site. They also have an entrance to the site. When you're talking about an entrance to the site, essentially the main difference between you being in any other area of the map versus you being in an area like an entrance of the site is that you are going to be forced to hold W. So what do I mean by that? Let me explain to you guys a concept here. So for example, when we're here, we can only use our A and D keys to clear these angles, right? And this is amazing because that's kind of what you want to use. You want to be in a position in which you just have to use your A and D keys to clear things, right? But once you have to scale up into the site, you're essentially forced to hold your W key. Right? You're forced to because there's no other way. You can't just go into the site looking at the wall. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to die. So here is where it gets complicated because this is where another fundamental of Valorant that a lot of bronze players and iron players don't know comes in. You never want to hold W during a gunfight, and you never want to get caught holding W ever. So for example, if I'm a bronze player, most likely I'm just going to be running into the site like this, right? W and A may be being pressed, or W and D may be being pressed, right? So what's going to happen if you're kind of running into site, and then as you're running into site, someone peeks into you like this? You have to let go of 2 different keys at the same time and then kill this person, whereas this person just has to let go of 1 key, right? The difference in that is actually way larger than you guys think. So it is a common rule in a fundamental of Valorant that you don't want to get caught with your W key being pressed. So this raises the question, if we are forced to use our W key in certain areas of the map, right? And you also just told us to not expose ourselves to different angles, because when we're holding this W key, we are exposed to different angles, right? Then what are we supposed to do, Hacker1, right? It's a good question, and I get asked this sometimes, not often. I was going to say often because I'm just so used to saying that. But the answer is actually very simple. You want to treat these areas of the map where you are forced to hold W as, just think about it as like a sensitive area of the map where you are 99% sure that you're gonna die. Okay, I want you to develop this mindset that these areas of the map, you are going to die if you're caught in these areas. That's the mindset you need to have. And so now comes the creativity part. So how can you do this? How can you not be in these areas if you're forced to go down them? Well, the answer is very simple, guys. It's utility. Util usage, right? You want to use utility before you get into these areas, so that way you don't just get caught dying with your W key, right? So for example, a really good util usage here would be like a flash. I'll flash high, right? This flash will blind anyone that's peeking these angles, right? And then I can scale up a little bit. Once the flash runs out, I can flash again, and then I can scale up more. And now I'm on the site, and I no longer have to worry about holding my W key, right? Being caught with my W key out. This is very important, guys, because these areas, you don't want to be in these areas for long. The goal is to get out of those areas as fast as you possibly can. That's just the goal. And every single time you're in an area like this, you just want to use your utility, whatever util you have, to stop the opponents from killing you, and then you want to get into the site, right? So that's very important for everyone to keep in mind. And the reason I break this down like I have in another video is because a lot of lower elo players, they will use their utility in situations like that, right? But they won't really understand why. It's just because they've seen other people do it. But I think it's very important to explain to lower elo players the fundamentals so that they actually understand why they're doing what they're doing, and they're not just doing it because the crowd is doing it, so they're going to do it too, right? A lot of low elo players, they just think that, yeah, we're just throwing a blind here. And let me explain, this is actually a very good learning opportunity too, because this is the reason I'm explaining this in such depth, right? Is because I want you to actually start thinking more about why and how to use your utility. A lot of lower elo players, they'll just notice that a lot of people are flashing here. They'll be like, okay, so it looks like a lot of people flash here to get into the site, and it makes sense to them because they're like, okay, so we're blinding the enemy team. So yeah, let me just go here and flash. But notice the difference. Do you guys see the difference here? Let me show you the difference. High elo player flash, okay, and then high elo player flash, okay, versus low elo player flash. You guys see the difference? The difference is that the high elo player actually knows why he's using his utility. That's why he's tucked behind this wall, and then he's flashing, and then he's peeking off of his flash. Whereas a low elo player is just doing the flash because they kind of understand like a basic concept of the flash, so they're just kind of running here in the open. But what they don't realize is they can die with their utility out, which leads me to my third point, and very important, that low elo players make this mistake all the time, especially in iron and bronze, is they will die with their utility out. Now, why is this very important? Well, let me explain something to you guys. Did you guys know, and this might be mind-blowing, so just be aware. No, I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to actually sound never mind. Anyways, the point is, guys, did you know that you can actually win a lot more of your gunfights if you have your gun out versus if you don't? I know, mind-boggling information, but yet a lot of lower elo players, like 99% of the time that they die, it's because they're using their utility in areas of the map where they're exposed to angles. Now, here is the common thing. I'll just give you guys a very simple rule of util usage, okay? The rule is very simple. Only use your utility if you are not exposed to any danger. Simple. It's just that simple. So what would be a good example of that? Well, for example, why is the higher elo player flashing like this? Because he is exposed to this when he's flashing, right? Well, that's where the mindset diff comes in, because again, in order for the high elo player to get from here to here, he has to clear this angle, he has to clear this angle, he has to clear this, he has to clear this, and then he's cleared this. Once we know that none of these angles are a threat, that's when the high elo player pulls out his flash and flashes, and then starts to take the side. Right, guys? So that is something that we all need to understand, is using your utility properly. You don't want to be in the open. The lower elo player in the example that I showed, he kind of ran out here and then threw the flash, right? It's not good. It's not beneficial. So that's point number 3. If you're in bronze and you're doing this, this should help you a lot, because believe it or not, you'll be surprised by the amount of times that you die in this game because you have your utility out versus you having your gun out ready for an engagement. And so now, we've discussed 3 of the most core things that I believe, even just by listening to those 3 things, that you can actually rank up. But I'll throw in one more extra special thing for you guys who stayed this far into the video, because this last tip could truly rank you up very far. Not just out of bronze, not just out of silver, not just out of gold, but maybe all the way even up to plat you'd be able to get and reach to that level just by understanding what I'm about to show you guys, okay? And this final tip is called understanding proper timing and rhythm of the game, and what influences the rhythm of the game. So let me give you guys a breakdown of what exactly I mean by that. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the map here. Okay, we're on Split. Split is going to be coming back to the competitive map pool very soon, I think. So that's why I'm just kind of showing you guys it on Split. Let me give you guys a quick explanation. So this is the map, right? We have B side, we have A side, right? This is where we spawn if we're on attack side, right? Now let's say, for example, that our team decided to go mid and we're doing like a default. Now for those of you guys who don't know, a default is essentially when your team decides to play slow and take space on the map, right, in different areas of the map. So you might have 2 people playing mid side, you might have 1 person lurking A, and then 2 people playing B side, something like that, right? You're just taking space, you're trying to get information on where the opponents are located. That's essentially the basis of a default, right? Now here's where it gets interesting, right? Let's say you and your buddy, whatever it is, you guys are working up the mid map here, okay? And then someone peeks out from vent. The opponent peeks out from vent, and boom, I get the kill. Now, this person that peeked out from vent just died here, right? Here is where it gets interesting. This is the difference between lower elo and higher elo. It's the rhythm and understanding the timing of the game. Because what happens here is once a higher elo player gets this kill, the next step is very simple. They're going to start calling for their team, let's go A, let's go A. And let's go A fast. The rhythm will change immediately, just like that. In an instance, the rhythm changes. Everyone is boom, 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 just ready to go A. All the players are just starting to stack together, trying to group together, and they're going to execute onto A site quick. Why is that? Why is that a thing? Well, this is exactly where I'm going to tell you guys the secret sauce. When you look at this map, you need to understand the game of Valorant from the opponent's perspective. Now, it might seem like a lot of thinking to do, but it really isn't, right? All you gotta do is think, okay, if I was on defense right now, where would I set up? And where would my teammates set up? And once you understand this and study this just a little bit, you'll come to the common conclusion that in almost every single elo, you'll normally have like 1 person in ranked playing mid side, you'll have like 2 people on A, and maybe 2 people on B, or you might have like 2 mid side, you know, whatever. But the point is, a lot of time subconsciously in ranked, players will try to put half of the players on B and half of the players on A, and leave 1 person just kind of holding mid. That's like usually the universal experience of how they set up on defense, unless they're predicting where you're gonna go next. So with that information being said, when you get a kill, just for example, when you get a kill leaning towards A side, you know now that the A site, the A bomb site, right, is open for you to take, and also that they're down a number. That is key information for you to understand. And once you understand that you've taken this person out that's leaning towards the A site, that means that now the A side is easier to take than the B side. So what's the best way to take it? Well, now you just call to your team, hey guys, let's go head to A side, because guess what? They're missing a player, right? They're missing a player on that side because he was leaning towards it. So let's group up and let's hit together and let's do it fast. This would be the right call to make 99% of the time when it comes to ranked. But in bronze and iron elo, what happens is they'll get this kill and then everyone's just chilling. Everyone's like, hey, nice pick, man, good picks. And that's it. The pick happens, but everyone's just chilling, you know? Nothing's gonna happen off of that pick because people are still scared to move. They don't really understand what just happened. But higher elo players, we see that. Oh, okay, we got a pick leading towards A. Let's go A. Let's not waste any time. Let's just group up together. Let's take A site. It's freer than B site. The end. Or we would use that, or even higher elo, when mind games become apparent. Obviously everything's situational, but I'm just showing you guys like a basic understanding of the game. But an even higher elo, it's like, okay, we got this pick, now we can fake A side, we can fake the A side hit, and we can walk up B side. That's also a very smart strat, because you get the pick of the person that's leaning towards A, and the defenders on B are going to start rotating over, in higher elo at least, thinking that you're going to hit A. And if you sell A with the fake, they're definitely going to all rotate over, and then you'll have a free side on B. But again, that goes way deeper into map theory, that goes way deeper into understanding the game of Valorant. I'm showing you guys a very simple, basic strategy that you can implement in your own games. Is just look at the map and say, okay, when I get a kill,
There.
where is it leaning towards? If it's leaning
Go
more
here.
towards A, then hey, team, let's go towards A. If it's leaning more
There.
towards B, I gotta pick B side, guys. Let's start going B. Very simple, and you want to make sure that you're changing the rhythm of how you play. And even if your teammates are not cooperative, you want to be the leader in charge, right? Let's say you get the kill, you wanted to start taking space off of that kill. That's it. Just be confident in your plays, start taking space, and understand the rhythm of the game. It's very important, because once you take one person out, the whole map will open up for you. And even in the opposite side of things, if your teammate dies, for example, you look at where he died from, then you can use that information to your advantage. It's all about using the information that you're giving to the opponents to your advantage, instead of letting them have the advantage, even if it seems like the information you're giving to them is a disadvantage. For example, like your teammate dying. So for example, I'll just give a quick example and I'll end the video here. If we're running a default, and let's say we had like a duelist playing
There.
A side, right? And let's say he just dies right here, boom, dead, right? We can use this information to our advantage, because the opponents think, oh wow, we just killed a duelist here and we backed up. That means that there's likely going to be more coming
There.
A side now. But no, we could use that information, be like,
There.
okay, they think we're going A, let's try to get up B as fast as we possibly can before they realize that we're not going A. Right, something like that. Or it could go even deeper, but I won't go too deep. I don't want to keep it too complicated. But the whole point is, guys, understand the timings of the game, understand how the rhythm can change, understand that getting kills on the map can influence the rhythm and how fast you're playing, and understand that sometimes you need to speed up, sometimes you need to slow down. There are different ways, and a lot of this understanding will come to you the more you play and the more you think about these things. So I just wanted to tell you guys this final secret, because I want you guys to start actually thinking about all of these things that I've said in this video, and hopefully it should help you guys rank up. And yeah, I mean, once again, if you are bronze and you watch this video, I'd love for you to actually take these tips, implement them, actually start practicing them, actually start thinking about them, go into a custom game, learn to clear angles properly, learn to think about your timings, all of that good stuff, and then maybe respond back to this video in a week and let me know if you ranked up. Because to my understanding, to my knowledge from all the coaching that I've done, for bronze players, all the VOD reviews that I've done, these are some of the most outstanding mistakes that I've seen. And I think if you guys can patch up on these mistakes, it should be very, very easy for you all to rank up very, very fast. So yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, I mean, that's honestly just about it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and take care.